I know what you guys are thinking. I know exactly what you guys are thinking. The moment we saw LeBron James was returning to the lineup, I seen all you guys having your heads down, going out there on social media. Why should he return against Chicago Bulls? Just wait it out. Wait it out. We want to see more of Luka and Austin Reeves. We want to see how that duo does. But there was no drop off whatsoever in the return of LeBron James against the Chicago Bulls last night. Lakers put up 142 points. 142 points. I know the Chicago Bulls had 130. That's a lot to give up against the Chicago Bulls team who is very, very dysfunctional. However, 48 minutes of hard energy and effort basketball. This is what, the fourth game in a row we haven't seen that. The Lakers are now the 3 seed. That's right. We've been talking about them so much, and all the ups and downs throughout this team coming from JJ Redick, figuring out their lineups, the rotations, the chemistry, all those different types of things. And the Lakers are now the 3 seed in the Western Conference. We got to talk about that. They got the Denver Nuggets tomorrow, home game, primetime game against the Denver Nuggets. Remember, every single game matters at this point of the season for the Los Angeles Lakers. So we'll talk about that. Got to talk about LeBron James returning to the lineup, how the team looked. But before we do any of that, you guys know, got to talk about the beautiful Pechanga Resort Casino. And you can play your perfect combination at Pechanga Resort Casino, the official Native American resort and casino of the Los Angeles Lakers. Skip the traffic. Head on over to Pechanga Resort Casino just off the I-15 in Temecula. Visit pechanga.com or call 888-PECHANGA for reservations and for more information. Come on. Look, I already see one thing. Christian saying, because it's the Bulls, easy win. You know what? I get it. I wouldn't necessarily call it an easy win the way the Chicago Bulls are playing, the way that they're going out there and competing. But let's just keep it as simple as this. The Lakers took care of business. That's right, 142 points. High-scoring offense from this Lakers team. And I'm not going to lie to you. As soon as I heard LeBron James was returning to the lineup, I was just thinking, in my head, I'm like, ooh, if he comes out here and the Lakers have a bad game against the Chicago Bulls, a Bulls team is very, very dysfunctional. A Bulls team who traded away a lot of their guys. And they're literally in tanking mode right now. You can't struggle against the Chicago Bulls team without LeBron James in the lineup. You have a good game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You have a dominant game against the New York Knicks. You had a competing game against the Denver Nuggets. I know, last-minute stretch, didn't really go in the Lakers' favor. LeBron James going out with that elbow injury, all those different types of things we can discuss against that Denver Nuggets in that Denver Nuggets game. However, that was not the case last night. There was no drop-off. The Lakers team was running the lanes. They were getting out and running. Luka Doncic was getting his shots. Austin Reeves was getting his looks. Rui Hachimura was getting his looks. And even DeAndre Ayton, who you guys already know. I am really, really skeptical when it comes to DeAndre Ayton. Not because of his talent, but because of his consistency and him having a high motor on a game-to-game basis, night to night. Because, you know, he has a lot of drop-offs when it comes to that. But no, that was not the case. I get it. You guys can make the argument. It's against the Chicago Bulls. But look at the momentum that the Lakers are just continuing to build off of. They build off that Minnesota win. And they just keep on doing good things. DeAndre Ayton finished the night with 23 and 10. 23 points and 10 rebounds. 10 of 13 shooting. Really, really efficient. Now, don't get me started on Luka Doncic. I don't know what the hell Matas Buzelis was over there doing for the Chicago Bulls. You have no reason to be trying to bicker at Luka Doncic. That is the wrong person to be trying to talk ish to, because he put up 50 on your head the moment you started to do that. That is the wrong person to really, really talk trash to. So I really think he learned his lesson, because he went on post game and had some words about that. But it was a good thing to see. it was a good thing to see the spacing. It was a good thing to see LeBron James come in and it was operated smoothly. Meaning, Austin Reeves, we always have that. When LeBron James comes in the lineup, we start to see Austin Reeves start to fade away. Not really get at the much as much looks as he is supposed to get. You start to see the difference as far as who has a ball in their hands, who's going to operate the offense, who's going to actually make the right cut. All right, at this point of a possession, who's going to have the ball in their hands to get us a go-ahead bucket or to get us a bucket to kind of build off some momentum. That has been the story with this trio. They can't click. They can't seem to figure it out on the basketball court. They get in their own way, or they try to be too unselfish, and it takes away from them actually being aggressive. But last night, and seeing LeBron James' comments I really want to talk about, and he was asked a question as far as his role and how he felt coming back from his injury. And he said, if it benefits others, it benefits the team. The team is most important. So, yeah, it is a sacrifice. I know I am capable of still doing a lot as an individual. But what's important for this team, I'm able to adapt. And that's the only thing that matters. Once again, this is a 41-year-old LeBron James. And this is the same guy we always talk about every single day, damn near. We do. But for a reason, because did the Lakers look good in those spurts with him out of the lineup? They did look really good. We saw a different team as far as the way the offense looked, as far as how the defense was flying around. We did. And he's seeing all this stuff. I'm telling you guys right now, there's LeBron James is sitting on that sideline. He sees the media. He's seen it with his own eyes. He's seeing that the offense has been flowing differently without him on the basketball court. And seeing what he was doing early on in that first quarter, catching at the elbow, catching at the low block. We're seeing a screen for Austin Reeves coming off of it. He throws a nice look to him. Austin Reeves, taking that jump shot. Or letting Luka Doncic get his looks and understanding that it's going to be in Luka Doncic's hands. And then it's going to trickle into Austin Reeves and then LeBron James. If your third option is LeBron James and he's understanding that, then we might have something that we can cook with. And I get it. Once again, we keep on going back to the Knicks game and how they look, the Timberwolves game and how they look. They did. They looked a lot better. The majority of the games we have seen this Lakers team. Can you make the argument? It's the Chicago Bulls. Can we see it against the Denver Nuggets? We can make that same argument because the Denver Nuggets haven't having the Lakers number throughout these past couple of seasons. But once again, it's a step towards the right direction. And the stats don't lie. You guys want to talk about numbers, and we want to be a big the data shows. Well, again, was I critical about it? Yeah, I'm one that's going to agree with it. I did feel like the team operated really well without LeBron James when he was out. I'm going to be honest about it. And I did have some thoughts and concerns as far as him returning to the lineup, knowing how well they have been playing. But once again, the numbers don't lie. Luka Doncic getting 51 points. He was able to get his looks. Austin Reeves getting 30 points. Remember, Luka and Austin Reeves coming off of 30 points each against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then now they're building off it, and Luka Doncic gets 51. Austin Reeves gets 30. He was able to get 20 shots up. Didn't shoot any free throws. That's really impressive. So we're starting to see LeBron James kind of ease into that role. Hopefully we can see this for the duration of the season and entering in the playoffs. Because if he's able to embrace that, understand that, then we might have something different with this Lakers team. Now, they are the third seed. They have a half game. They're a half game above the Houston Rockets. And with the way we talk about this Lakers team, you expect them to be a playing team, which, remember, they can easily still fall into that. They can easily still fall into a play-in, depending on how they look when they got the Denver Nuggets tomorrow. And then you follow it up against the Houston Rockets. In my opinion, that back-to-back against the Houston Rockets is probably one of the most crucial and important games of this season. Knowing how the standings are, knowing how the tiebreaker situation works. Because with how close these standings are, if the Lakers find themselves having the same record as the Houston Rockets as the end of the season approaches, and if you have that 2-1 season series leading against the Houston Rockets, all of a sudden if it comes down to they're in the 3 and 4 slot, just like this, Lakers find themselves in the 3 seed, home court advantage. And you know who they could potentially be facing if the playoffs were to end right now? The Minnesota Timberwolves. And I get it. I hear everyone saying, I heard in the morning show that the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves are the team that the Lakers want to face. Me personally, the only team I see this Lakers team that I feel like will be a really, really ideal matchup is the Houston Rockets, only because of their flaws offensively, only because they don't have a true point guard, only because their center, and Alperen Sengun, he is not a good defender. They have a workload, and the workload is a lot for Kevin Durant at his age of 37. They expect a lot out of him, and that was not supposed to be the case for the Houston Rockets going into this season. But you remember what we always say when you play good basketball and you're peaking at the right time? Out of the majority of these teams, besides the Thunder, besides the Spurs, realistically, and I know Denver Nuggets, I know the schedule has been really, really tough. They've been having a brutal schedule. But out of those teams in the Western Conference, the Lakers are peaking at the right time. They're building the right momentum. They're starting to click. They're starting to find their units. JJ Redick's starting to understand the rotations. And I know we're giving all the praises, and it's got to keep on going. Because remember, they can find themselves in this road trip after the Denver Nuggets when you got Houston on a back-to-back. And then on that one back-to-back, you're going to travel to Miami. And then you got Orlando. And then you got the Detroit Pistons. That is a brutal, brutal road trip. And that's probably going to be a difference maker in as far as the standings and where they are going to be aligned with. But once again, you cannot we have to give credit where credit is due. That the Lakers are the 3rd seed and they are 41-25. And it's just crazy because the narrative we've been having, the way that we talk about them is, they're bad. They're really, really bad. And I get it. Was it one game? I see Brian in the YouTube chat. It was one game. Relax, DeAndre. Don't be gassing this up. Hey, I'm just saying, we're seeing him. He's embracing it. He came in. He was not doing too much. He eased his way into the lineup. He knows Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves were cooking. So what was he doing? He played that facilitator role. And then as the game was winding down throughout the duration, he was able to get into the basket, get into the driving lane, get a couple and ones. Remember, he is a veteran. He is one of the best players we have seen in a very, very long time, correct? Is that what we label LeBron as. If he's able to play like this along with that starting unit and we're able to get consistency like this from the starting unit, really, really good. And good things can happen come playoff time. Now, another thing I seen you guys said in the YouTube chat as far as only 5 points, 5 bench points. Yes, that is another thing that is going to be worrisome. So that's a good point that you guys bring up. Because with the bench and what we've seen last season, when JJ Redick didn't trust anybody, that is something that we got to keep our eyes on. So since you guys brought that up, I can elaborate more on that. We got the Denver Nuggets coming up tomorrow. Lakers got another home game. So to discuss that, we'll do another deep dive into the Western Conference standings and where the Lakers need to be at. But before we do any of that, I have to let my partners at Pachanga give you guys a quick word.
At Pachanga Resort Casino, you can rock and roll, sip and slide, twist and shout. Play your perfect combination at Pachanga Resort Casino, official Indian gaming sponsor of the Lakers.
What is going on? Welcome back to Lakers Talk Daily. So you guys in the YouTube chat, specifically Brian, who I always enjoy. He's a very, very listener as far as on Lakers Talk Daily. He said only 5 bench points. Yes. So we talk about the starting unit all the time. We talk about the fit. We talk about LeBron as far as his chemistry with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and how he kind of messes it up and that Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are the best duo in the NBA and they look good without LeBron James. Now we can do just a little bit of a discussion when it comes to this Lakers bench because what happened when they ran into the Minnesota Timberwolves? In that, once again, I got to bring it up because it could be potentially the same thing that JJ Redick could be doing if he does not trust his unit. Remember, all we talk about is the flaws of this roster, correct? And even all the flaws in this roster, they're still a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. But one thing that is concerning is that they were, remember, we also got to keep in consideration, Brian, that Marcus Smart was not in the lineup. Jackson Hayes was not in the lineup. So Jackson Hayes gets you what? When I'm not saying Jackson Hayes is the scorer, but he does a good job of rolling to the basket. He gets you about 4 to 6 points. Maybe on a really, really good night, he gets you that 8 to 10. But his reason come off the bench is to provide different energy and effort whenever DeAndre Ayton has a drop off with his energy and effort. So realistically, Marcus Smart, who is what? Point of attack defender, excuse me, and the guy that you rely on a lot on the defensive end of the floor, he most likely is starting with LeBron James, Luka, Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton. So if that's the case, who's coming off the bench that we haven't seen? Rui Hachimura. So Rui Hachimura came off the bench and he was able to give you that same 15 when he started. All of a sudden, the bench production is a little different. So that was my little counter into that. Okay, I see what you guys are saying. Only 5 bench points is not good, especially when Jake LaRavia is playing 21 minutes. He's got to find a way to make some damn layups. I'm sorry, Jake LaRavia, my guy, you have to make some damn layups. Or I get it, you do a lot of good things as far as rebounding, providing second chance opportunities, but you have to make some layups. And Luke Kennard is another one that we can discuss. Is that teams are starting to zero in on Luke Kennard. Teams are starting to close out on Luke Kennard. But you know what he does really, really well? He moves well without the basketball. He does a good job of 1 to 2 dribbles in a 1 dribble pull up situation. Does he pass up some open looks sometimes? Yes. That's where my frustration comes at because I do believe he has the ultimate green light. This is what the Lakers traded you for because Gabe Vincent was very, very inconsistent and a guy that the Lakers couldn't rely on offensively. And he's supposed to be a really good defender, but we couldn't see much because he would get picked apart a lot. There's moments where we don't really see Luke Kennard get picked off that much. I get it. Come playoffs, could be a different scenario. But offensively, the Lakers got you for a reason, to shoot the basketball. You are shooting the highest percentage out of everyone in this league. And the Lakers are starting to find ways to implement you into the offense, whether it's coming off of screens, whether you cut without the basketball. You help out a lot. But he has to find a way to shoot the rock. Once again, the Lakers did not trade you to pump fake and kick out to Jared Vanderbilt for a corner three. No. They acquired you for you to shoot the basketball. So could the bench production be something that can be heading into playoffs that can hurt this Lakers team? Possibly so, because you see the way everybody else's team is stacked up and they got a really, really good bench. That could be a thing that we could be worried about. But the moral of the story is that we can't argue that, I know, one game against the Chicago Bulls, but 142 points. Now, is that just one night where the Lakers are just hot and they're clicking? Yes. But the biggest narrative is you guys have been saying it. Why does LeBron James come off the bench? He needs to come off the bench. He needs to stop being in the way of Luka and AR. And he, once again, made those comments on the post game. He's understanding his role. He's understanding what's best for the team. If you got, and I do believe he is leaning towards that role. Hell, you guys are telling me he should lean into that Draymond Green role, which he is two totally different types of players. But this is probably his way of doing that role. Knowing that he can still get you 18 or 20 points, knowing that he can still be a good rebounder, knowing that he does a great job playmaking. But if he's able, once again, to play off the ball like that, catching at the elbow, or even being in the block, and you start having movement on the other side of the basketball court like Lakers were having, and he also understands that Luka Doncic needs to get touches first, then it's Austin Reeves, and then he can be that third guy to start picking apart the defense, the Lakers could potentially have something cooking. Remember, they are peaking at the right time. The Minnesota Timberwolves have not been playing good basketball as of late. After they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers, they got worked by the LA Clippers. The Denver Nuggets, their schedule has been tough. But you got to be able to understand that Denver, as long as they got Jokic and as long as they got Murray, they're going to be scary. They just got Aaron Gordon back. He's starting to find his way back into the lineup. So tomorrow's game is going to be another good thing for the Lakers. And that's another thing that keeps me worried because The Nuggets have been having his number. The Nuggets have been having the Lakers' number. So tomorrow's game is going to be really, really good as far as where the Lakers are at. Because at this point, every single game is critical. Every single game is critical. Now, as far as other matchups and as far as where the Lakers are at, and you guys can tell me in the YouTube chat, who do you best feel the Lakers should want in the playoffs? And honestly, it shouldn't be that way, who they should want, because it's a 7-game series. And we talked about that last year as far as the Lakers should want the Timberwolves, and we see what they did. But different roster at that time. And this roster is a little bit different, and they are playing good basketball. Now, as far as the game against the Denver Nuggets, and as far as Jamal Murray and Jokic, you guys say it all the time too. Jamal Murray, for some reason, he just finds his way to get going against the Los Angeles Lakers. Jamal Murray can legit have a terrible game the night before, but for some reason, where he lines up and gets matched up with the Los Angeles Lakers, he gets going and he gets cooking. Jokic is Nikola Jokic. He's always in the MVP race. He's going to be a walking triple-double. But the way that the rest of this Nuggets team is constructed, could be a tough matchup for the Lakers. Now, I understand you guys and your frustration when it comes to DeAndre Ayton, when it comes to LeBron James being back into the lineup. But if they're able to sustain this energy and effort like they have been doing for the full 48 minutes these past couple of games, then we can have a different discussion. Literally, we can have a different discussion with this Lakers team. But putting up 142, that's not just something that we got to just brush over. Because once again, they're starting to figure out the rotations. They're starting to figure out the spacing. They're starting to figure out the movement. And again, like Brian said, it's only one game. Relax, DeAndre. But this is a point of the season where we haven't been able to have a good discussion and a good conversation like this in a very, very long time. Now, to read off some more stuff from you guys in the YouTube chat. I seen you guys in there. Jay said, I'd rather Lakers have the Houston or the Wolves. David in the YouTube chat says the Rockets. Bubba says, honestly, I just want LeBron to get more points in the paint and quit wasting time with missed threes. You know what? I don't blame you on that, Bubba, because when he does tend to settle, it is very, very, very frustrating because of his size and his ability to create a lot in the driving lanes. And LeBron James, when you're his size and you're able to get downhill, there is no need for you to settle for a three. Honestly. Now, I can't wait to really just go over this last like 5 minutes of the show before we cap off and head into the weekend. And I thank you once again for you guys tuning in. Let's go ahead. If you guys really want to do it, because I've seen you guys talking about the Lakers games after this Denver Nuggets game, as far as who they got in their schedule. And once again, the Houston Rockets games, in my personal opinion, are the biggest games this season for the Lakers, especially when you're in a back-to-back, both in Houston, and you haven't played the Houston Rockets since Christmas. You got to go out there and you got to really make a statement as far as if you can capitalize on winning against the Nuggets and you go in there and you get at least 1 out of 2 against the Houston Rockets. We will have different conversations when it comes to this Lakers team heading into the playoffs. Once again, after Denver, Houston back-to-back. And then on that Wednesday, March 18th, they go right into Miami, a late game in Miami. I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I know if you guys don't like this saying, but I do believe that Miami Heat game is going to be a trap game. Hell, we might see Bam Adebayo put up 84. Nah, I'm just playing. Bam not going to put up 84. I would hope not. Because if the Lakers are allowing Bam Adebayo to put up those numbers, then we got to start having another discussion about that. But after that Miami Heat game, you followed up with what? The Orlando Magic. And let me tell you guys something. I'm telling you, after the Orlando Magic beat the Lakers, in a wire to wire game, the Magic have literally been playing better basketball. They have been playing at the once again playing good basketball at the right time, and then literally after that game, you play the Detroit Pistons, who are the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Brutal, tough schedule at one of the times where standings and seeding and all that stuff is coming to play because it goes Lakers, Rockets, Nuggets, T-Wolves. Just that's how close everything is in the Western Conference standings. And after that, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's kind of a cupcake schedule for them until they meet the Cleveland Cavaliers. But we're literally approaching towards the end of the season. 16 games are remaining. Literally, 16 games remaining. Now, you go ahead. If you guys want to put in your predictions in the YouTube chat, I see Peter saying that his prediction, the Lakers are going to go 2-1 in their next 3 games. Possibly so. We could be seeing that. All depends on what? If they play defense. Because they've been seeing that defense hasn't playing really, if they've been playing really good defense and they're able to create turnovers and they're able to get collective stops, then this is a different Lakers team. But if they ball watch and they get caught watching, and if they don't slide their feet, and if they blow a defensive assignment, and we start going back to the old Lakers way as far as pointing fingers, this is your fault, this is your fault. JJ Redick's calling a timeout because the Lakers can't stop the bleeding. And it's crazy to me because haven't we been saying the Lakers lead the league as far as double-digit losses these past couple weeks? That has not been the same scenario and the same case. But it all starts with what? One game at a time. The Lakers taking on the Denver Nuggets. And that's going to be a game where it's going to be DeAndre Ayton. Can he be able to defend? Can he be able to stay on the basketball court? That's going to be another test. LeBron James. It's going to be a night-to-night basis where this narrative is going to be if LeBron James is sticking with his lineup, can he get the most out of Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves in that duo? Can they build off of this? Because if they roll into the Denver Nuggets game and they play terribly, then the narrative still stands. The narrative is going to be back to why is LeBron James in that group? Should he stagger their minutes? Keep LeBron James as the second unit. Let Luka and Austin Reeves cook. It's going to be another test to see if this is the right trio to keep out there on the basketball court. But as the show is winding down, appreciate you guys always tuning in. Lakers got the Denver Nuggets at home, primetime game on ABC. And then I can't wait to be discussing you guys this brutal Eastern, or after the Rockets, they got that brutal East Coast trip. Whew, tough 6 games in a row. This is going to be a test once again to see what version of the Lakers are going to show up. As always, I will be talking to you guys next week. But for my guys in the back in the social room, appreciate you guys holding it down. And you guys in the YouTube chat, always appreciate you guys tuning in. See you guys next week. We out.